Clash is one of the most hated game modes in Overwatch 2 currently, but I've came up with a fix that could change this perception entirely. But before we get into that, we first have to clarify what Clash does good and what Clash does bad so that the fix will come full circle in the end. The good. First up, as always, Clash absolutely nailed the artwork and the looks of the new map. They are just absolutely beautiful. Look at some of these stills, guys. Like, come on. Blizzard always nails this. I really never thought we'd get a map more beautiful than Hanamura, but they topped it with Hanaoka. Same kind of style, but they just nailed it even better. But for the more important stuff, the game mode itself. Unlike other most game modes and maps, you can play any hero you want to and still get value out of them. From Widow, to Tracer, to Genji, to Hog, to Winston, any of them can be playable. Throw a Lucio in there or a Lifeweaver. Pretty much every single hero in this game mode fits, which is incredible. Just look at a map like Havana or Gibraltar. Very unfun maps to play because of their sniper dominated because of the long sight lines and heavily oppressive high grounds. But in Clash, there's none of it. Short sight lines, but also good flank angles to take. Some high grounds to take if you're a Widowmaker, but not extremely oppressive. Easy to take care of. Very well thought out maps. But back to my point, in Clash you can pretty much play any hero and get value out of them. And while of course I think mobile heroes are genuinely better in Clash, they're not a must pick, which we just have to give props to the developers for. Making maps like that, where you're just extremely versatile in what heroes you can play, is not an easy task by any means. And to show this as a prime example, let's take a look at first point of Anubis.
There's good high ground for Hanzo, there's a jump pad if you're flanking underground with Tracer, there's a Mega and a Mini. There's just so many options. You can play whatever first point, from Hanzo and a Widow to Genji to Reaper. You can play anything. Play any tank too. It's just amazing.
And lastly, for the new game mode, it's a fun, creative, original game mode that could not have been easy to come up with. I sure know if I, or most other game dev companies, was tasked with coming up with something new, I'd just go steal game mode ideas from another game. Marvel Rivals. But Blizzard didn't do that. They went out and created an original game mode that fits the fast-paced Overwatch gameplay that we know and love, and it feels just like an Overwatch game mode should. So great props to the devs on that as well. And another quick little tidbit for props to the devs is they already fixed one of the biggest complaints, which was capping final point. It just never felt worth it since you had to cap the entire point. The point was longer to cap anyways, just to finish and win the game. But they made a change that allows you to cap portions of that point, making it much more manageable and worth to go for a last point, even just to get an extra point or two. But there's still many other reasons that the last point feels terrible, which we'll get into in just a moment. And now that we have all of the good things about the map out of the way, let's get into some of the major complaints. Complaint number 1, even when rolling the other team, it still feels like you're constantly in an uphill battle, or in other words, the game can feel super close despite one team just playing much better and being the clear aggressor. Complaint number 2 is games end a bit too quickly. And the final complaint is it's extremely unrewarding and difficult to capture point 3 even after the fix that came through. And why is that for point 3? Well, it's because once you capture point 1, you're immediately put to a positional disadvantage, which is even more prevalent on third point. And on top of that, by the time you get to the third point, you have been forced to use ultimates to gain that advantage back to capture the second point. And then, by then, the defending team should have all of their ultimates back up and a large positional advantage on top of that, which just feels impossible to break. So even if you get a chance to push through, they still have all of their ultimates to secure the point for them and the respawn advantage. But what typically happens because of that respawn and positional advantage is they only have to use 1 or 2 to defend the point, and then they get to snowball the next point, and it puts them right back to tying the game up 1-1. Or actually 2-2, but you know what I mean. So with all of that being said, I have 2 fixes to propose. The first one was my original idea, and the second one is an idea came up by Coach Spyro, which is kind of a add-on to my idea, and a better version of it in reality. So my original idea was just to make a change to the third point where the defenders no longer would get a point for capturing or defending the last point, and that would make it to where the losing team doesn't just get a get out of jail free card, but rather they have to earn it and get it back by capturing the second point, which is a more neutral point and not so heavily defenders advantaged. And before I get into Coach Spyro's idea, I also have to add that we need to just fix third point entirely. It is way too defenders advantaged to cap on both Hanaoka and Anubis.
So for Throne of Anubis, there's one thing I really want to do for third point, and it's just simply add a jump pad right here. Adding a jump pad right here would just open up for so much opportunities, because it would allow someone like a Tracer or a Genji or a Reinhardt just to easily pop up here, get a lot of attention brought to him, so that it's so much easier for your team to go and be able to take a flank and make it that much easier to be able to actually do something. Because as it stands now, it is just impossible to break third point unless you have 5 ultimates. And even then, it's really not worth it, because if you use all 5 of your ultimates, they're just going to steamroll you for the next 3 points, and they're going to be in the lead just by capping these next 2 points, and they'll be right back at it, which is one of the big issues with Clash. And so, which we also have some fixes we'll get into later, but that's for Throne of Anubis. Let's get into Hanaoka, what we can change. And for Hanaoka, there's not much we can really change, because there's already a good flank here on the left side that you can easily come back up here, chill to, roll back out easily. There's a mini here already. Maybe make this into a mega. That's something simple, but really, I think entirely we should just remove the mini right here and break open this giant wall. Be Kool-Aid Man, like this entire wall right here, we should just be able to break through, because as it stands now with these tiny little corridors, it makes it just so easy to be able to get, like, it just makes it so easy to be able to spam in there and make it to where you can't walk in here. Like, can you guys recall when you've ever walked in here? And if you have, has it ever worked? Answer's no, it just doesn't work. But so what we could do is we could just break open this big wall here, and instead of having this door open right here, we can make it an entrance here and an entrance here on these 2 little corners, because then it would open up more options for you to pop out. Yeah, they could spam in here, but you could easily like rotate back out. Maybe just make this one big wall and then close up these 2 doors. Maybe close up this one and have 2 entrances out here, or even 3 entrances. Like, the more the merrier. 3 might be too much, honestly. You'd be getting spammed from all angles, but as it stands right now, both of these points, they should be defender heavy, of course, but like, look, you already got high ground up here. How much more defender heavy do we need? You got a flank, you can protect the flank over here with cover. You can be in spawn right here protecting the left flank. Like, your spawn's so close that even if the attackers had high ground, you would pretty much still have an defender's advantage because of respawns being right there. So there just needs to be some small tweaks to the very third points of the map, making it a little bit easier to cap, as well as the change we'll get into right now.
And now comes in the Spyro solution. I'm not sure if he made it up himself, but I'm going to give credit for him because it's the first place I saw it, but I believe him and his community made it up. And his solution is to change the max cap points from 5 to 7, which just on its face value, of course, is going to increase the length of the games, solving one of the main complaints. But there's another change that he has that's going to fix one of the biggest complaints, and that's to make point 2 give 2 points rather than just 1, only for the attacking team, of course. Because when captured, it'll still feel rewarding for gaining more progress against the enemy team, and point 3 would still give the 3 points and keep the progress bar to allow for a single point to be captured. Or if you captured all 3, it would technically only be 6 points, but it was still in the game because you captured every single point available. And that would just make it feel so much more fair for the attacking team to actually capture point 2 and then go for point 3, because you would have that advantage still even if they capture point 3 back, and you wouldn't have to take away them capping a point on point 3. But I really think we need to try one of these 2 or both of the ideas out in a quick play hacked, or the devs can just do it on the back end if they have the time to. It would make the experience for the players much better in quick play and in ranked. So that's what I think should happen. But that's just a theory, a game theory. I love you, Matt Bat.
Hey, really quick, guys, if you guys are enjoying the content, think about dropping a like and then subscribe. It really does help. Also, if you guys want to check me out live, twitch.tv/ScuffC below. I'm live every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday from 4 to 10 p.m. CST. And on Wednesday and Thursday nights, I'm live from midnight to 4 a.m. Now back to the regularly scheduled video. I might have lied. Video's over. Subscribe. Bye.